everybody. We're going to do a tutorial flight this morning. This is in Atlanta, Georgia right here. Let me get out of inside the plane so it's not so loud. There we go. Back. This is a tutorial of the A350-900 series, and basically if you're new to flight simming or you're new to this airplane, we'll start you, as you can see, from cold and dark, and I'm going to walk you through most of these switches and buttons and help you get set up to have a successful flight wherever you want to fly to. We're just going to do a short flight, 42-minute flight. It's scheduled from Atlanta to Charlotte. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, we'll go ahead and turn on our batteries. First and foremost, we do have external power available, so we'll take advantage of that. Okay. Get the system lined up here. Get those turned on. We're gonna just go ahead and turn on some lights right now. And get a seatbelt sign on, no smoking. Mobile sign. Emergency exit lights on, turn some air on for the crew, and ground control recorder goes on. There we go. And now this is where you're just going to do everything from right here. This is your pad that's in. You have one on both sides of the cockpit here. So we're going to start. The first thing we want to do is I'm just using an iPad to use SimBrief, and I've set up a flight on my SimBrief, and we're going to go in here and import that. Make sure that you generate that on your whatever device you're using before you try to connect to it here in the airplane. So we'll click on this here, and it shows our flight from Atlanta to Charlotte right there. Pretty easy stuff. So the next thing we can do is go into the load sheet here, and this is where we actually will start loading our passengers. But before we do that, let's go into maintenance and then ground equipment. Check the status of your wear and tear in your airplane. In this plane here, you have to keep it maintained, or after a while it's not going to perform the way you want it to. So you can go through and check all these. You can service your hydraulics, engine oil. You can service those. APU. After you've gone through, maybe a few cycles using your APU, you might want to service your APU. And the batteries at 92%, so we're good. These are all in green, so they should be good. So that's it on that. I will go into ground equipment here. And we got to take if the engine covers are still on your plane, you can look at them as you can see, they still are, so we want to take those off right there. Your shocks and your GPU are connected. We want to connect the jetway. We'll load up our luggage and our catering and get all that stuff going. And now we can, since we've got the jetway connected, we can start loading our passengers onto the plane. So we're going to go into the load sheet here. All you got to do is import this from SimBrief. You can load all this stuff in manually, but it sure is a lot easier if you use SimBrief. And it's free. I mean, I just use the free version. That's good enough for me. Okay. We'll wait for this to populate here. I guess it already did. Okay, so we set the fuel weight, and that loads the passengers onto the plane and all the luggage and everything else. And then the fuel, we do the same for that. We're going to do instant refuel for the sake of the video here. Normally would take quite a bit longer. We have, so we're going to have 195 total passengers on the flight today. So, and you got to be careful. One word of warning: SimBrief is known for not loading enough fuel to get you through your flight, and sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. So I'm going to show you how to check that and make sure everything is good. SimBrief also shows that we're going to be going to 29,000 feet. I'm going to cut that back to 25,000, so we can actually go in there right now and change that right here. But we should see if we can change it in the FMS so that they match up. We're just going to put that in there for right now. So other than that, we have everything in here completed. We've got the passengers loading, so let's go ahead and start our APU. We're going to have to turn on some fuel pumps. You don't have to turn them all on, but it does require. It does run off of some fuel, so that's just good. So, and then we'll start that. You can go up here and make sure that it is actually. Let's see, where is it? Okay, there we go. You can see it's running right now. Okay, so we've got that going. And then after we get all the, well, we'll just go ahead and keep an eye on the APU for right now. Oh, well, you know what we can do? Let's go ahead and start our, turn on our radio. So this knob here is your volume control. Turn that on here. Now this here, you click on that and click up here. And when this knob is pushed in, you can hear everything that's going on between the ATC and your plane plus all the other planes. If you don't want it, for the purposes of this video, I'm going to turn this knob off, and that way we won't hear everything that's going on between the other planes, and that'll make it a little easier so you can hear me instead of the radio. But you'll still be able to connect with the with ATC. All right, let's go ahead and see. Let's see now. I would say that, let's see. Oh, it says APU is now available. So we can turn some air on for our passengers now. We'll turn the APU bleed on. There we go. Make the passengers a lot more happy. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and, since we do have our passengers all loaded in, we can go back into ground equipment and release the jetway. We don't need it anymore. And looks like it must have been in. Our forward cargo door is still open. Let's take a look and see what's going on there. Wow, kind of loud there. It is, so we'll keep an eye on this because we can't go anywhere until they get through loading all the cargo onto the plane. So we'll go back into this later and check up on it. But right now we can go into our flight management system. Let's see here. And we're going to go ahead and start with our init page here. So once you are connected to SimBrief, which we already know we are, we can request the flight plan here. And click on that, insert the flight plan. Okay, and see here we've got, they put us at 29,000. I believe we did 25,000. Yes, we did. So let's go ahead and change this to 25,000. Because you want to be lined up with what your. In order to do that, we can click on here. And then 250. Okay, so there we go. So we changed that to 25,000 now. So that matches up with what we put for our altitude. So they both match up. And basically what you do is you go through this list right here. After you've got your init page loaded in, make sure that these are in green right here. And they are. Your departure. We don't know that yet. We're going to find out. Okay, so port straight out.
Atlanta ground with Kilo request taxi for takeoff straight out departure.
9 left. Okay, that's what I'm showing on SimBrief too. 9 left.
Taxi to and hold short runway 9 or left via taxiway.
Okay, so we're good there. We want it to match up so that the flight plan will match up better. And right now I'm going to double check going into Charlotte. It's showing 18 center. I'm going to double check that and make sure that's correct. It'll only take me a minute here. Alright, 18 center looks good, and it's VFR conditions, so the weather looks pretty good there. Okay. So what did we say? 9 left. So we'll take it out 9 left. And let's see if we have a SID. I don't usually have one out of Atlanta, but I do today. It's field 3. Now, if you don't see this here, you're going to have to go down. The only way to see, you can't pull this down, and it doesn't work. You have to go down here, this wheel here, and this is how you get to the ones that are down below. And we're looking for field 3. There it is right there. And we don't have a transition, so we can just hit right here. And insert. Okay. Alright. So while we're at it, let's go ahead and we can put in our runway for Charlotte while we're at it. And I believe we said that was 18 center. Approach is Jones 4. Or no, never mind. This is going to show 18 center. It just gives us an opportunity whether we want to fly ILS, local, RNAV, or whatever. A lot of options. Okay, so we're doing ILS 18 center. Okay, and then the star is going to be Jones 4. And actually it's Jones 5, just because I have the free version of SimBrief, it doesn't update the air cycle. So just make sure you choose the right one here. And I don't think there's a transition in this. Actually, there is. It's called center. Settler. Let's see if I can find it here. Right there. Okay. There we go. Alright. So we'll take a look at the flight plan here real quick, and I don't even see any discontinuity. Oh, yeah, we do have one discontinuity there before we land, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at that right now. So let's go ahead and look at the flight plan now. We'll turn this over to plan. There, we know we're taking off on 9 left. And landing at 18 center. So I'm going to use this wheel here to scroll down through so we can take a look at that. looks good. We're going up, and there's our runway right there. And that's why we have discontinuity, because we've got to connect to Tommy here. And we're not going to do anything about that right now. So once you get past, we'll take this waypoint right here, this Giardina here, and we're going to go up past here, and then we're going to vector back in and catch Tommy coming in for a landing. So we are not going to get rid of this discontinuity. We're going to leave that just like it is. So that's all well and good. We'll change this from plan to arc. There we go. Okay. So once we get all that in, let's go back into our FMC here. That. Oops, there we go. Okay, we're just going to go back up to the beginning of the flight here. Alright. And we're actually still in our init page here. So we've done the, remember I said we're going to go down this list. So we did the IRS thing, the departure, the NavAids. So NavAids is just showing you that once you set up your ILS for the runway 18 center, it's going to show you that it's going to put the frequencies in there for you and the course and all that, but it hasn't done it yet. So we don't need to worry about that. Fuel and load, this is very important here. If you just click on these here and then go down to here and hit the enter button. Okay. And it's going to put it in there for you automatically based on what you have in SIP-brief. Same here. Enter. Block fuel, the same, enter. And we just need to put, it doesn't put the passengers in there for you. So we'll click on this and we'll go up and take a look and see how many passengers we have. I can get the right screen here. So we want to go into load sheet. So we have 195 passengers. Oh, what's that all about? 195 passengers. I don't know how this got in there. Somehow, keep getting locked out. Alright, we need to change this to 195. That has to be enter. There we go. So we got 195 passengers, enter. Okay. Remember I told you about don't trust the sim brief numbers for your fuel? In this plane, in some of the other planes that you've probably flown in, like the A320 V2, the only way to get fuel into your plane is right here. Just put it in right here. The good thing is it tells you down here that you should have 4.3 tons of fuel when you land to be safe. Okay, we only have 7/10 of a ton of fuel, which is 8 minutes of extra fuel. That's really, really cutting it close. You don't even have enough fuel in here if you have to change, if they change you to a different runway. You wouldn't even have enough fuel to land. So you need to change this up here. Remember I told you, this is the only place you can change it. This is very important because a lot of people I've noticed, on Facebook and that, they run out of fuel before they get to their destination, and this is why. So let's go ahead and change this from 10.3 to 12.3. Let's see what that does. 12.3 and enter. Okay, and now this is all these numbers are going to adjust here in a minute. Remember I told you we needed minimum of 4.3 tons of fuel for safety. We have 4.6 tons of fuel extra now, which is an extra 53 minutes of fuel. Now if you're in bad weather, flying into bad weather, we're not, but if we were, you might want to add a little bit extra onto that in case you get diverted to another location. So, but right now, we're good. We're okay. Okay, so we got our fuel load, and the next thing on here is takeoff performance, but we can't put it in here yet because we haven't. We have to go back into this other screen, and we have to load it in from here. So we go over here, takeoff performance. Let's, before we do this, let's check and see if that door ever got closed. Okay, it did. Okay, so they finished whatever they were doing down here, loading all the stuff in. And we know we don't need a GPU anymore because we're running off the APU. So we can get that in. Okay, now let's go back and finish what we just went in here for. So we want to go to the takeoff performance here. And since we did change the sim, well, we didn't have to change it. It was already 9 left for takeoff. So all we have to do is click on this, and it shows right here 9 left. Once you see it's correct, everything is correct, you go ahead and sync it right here. And then you get all your information that is needed. So, and once you have that information, you can compute it right here, and you get your V speeds. So V1 is 148, rotate is also 148, climb out speed 153. This goes in up front, in your front panel. 153. Well, we're way off there. Okay, so we've got that in there now. Now there's only one more thing we have left to do in here. Send it to the flight management system. which we just did. So remember, we couldn't do this before, but now we can. We can confirm our takeoff speeds, all our V speeds. So click on that, and that is all set now. So that means we finished this list right down here. It's all finished. And we know our flight plan is incorrectly, is improperly. And then, okay, so we've done all of this here right now. We can actually go up to flight plan here. That's all set. And now we can, should be able to back up now. Okay, and we can do that. So you do everything from this screen, like I told you earlier. So if you go into ground equipment, you can do your pushback from here. Before you do that, you gotta remove your chocks. And now you can start your pushback. And we've parking brake goes back on, and it's time to start our engines. Okay, engine starts. There we go. Ignition on. Start engine 2. did get the caution about we're in standby mode here, so we're gonna go ahead and fix that problem. So what you want to do is click on this here, FM1, and change this to serve. Alright, so we turn on our weather. There we go. And the TCAS is in standby mode. So we're going to fix that. Okay, turn that to auto. And we're going to change this from standby to TA until we take off, and then we'll change to TARA after that. So that's all done. And engine 1 is available. We've got a plane coming right into us here. Just have to ignore that. So we can go ahead and turn off our ignition switch. It's off. We won't need our APU anymore, so we can turn off the APU master switch and the APU bleed goes off. Okay. Now at this point, all we have left to do is finish our takeoff settings. Playing right there. And also we have our checklist right here. That we have to complete. So let's go ahead and get all these other settings done. This one. Okay, then we'll set our constraints. And we're going to change our zoom level to 40 miles an hour. That's just your preference, whatever you prefer. And also we'll put the weather over here. Weather map. I don't think there is any weather. We're not anyway. And over here we just do the constraints. I usually do my terrain over here, but in this plane the terrain is not working properly at this time. And we're going to set our distance to 160 miles out here. So and then what I do is if you've got everything loaded properly in your FMC, then you can set everything up here to managed, and it will follow everything that you put into the FMC. So we'll put it up there, here, and here. So now we're going to start getting everything ready. The ground spoilers, we can arm that. I've got a key set for that, so I'm going to go ahead and arm the ground spoilers. Flaps. Get our flaps going. Another plane in place of that other one that just took off in front of us. we're doing that, we can go ahead and set our auto brake here. This plane, all you have to do is click on this. It takes care of all that for you. Alright, the ground spoilers are now armed. Flaps take off this. Now the cabin just became ready. If your cabin, if you have to wait a while, it's not armed, the cabin is not going ready, you can go over here, up here, and click on this button right here, the first button, and that will ready your cabin for you. Alright, now we just have to do the takeoff configuration test. If you don't hear any warning signs and everything, that means it's okay. So you have to press and hold this down in this plane. There we go. And it says it's normal. So you have all green lights. It means we can taxi out to runway 9 left. If you know how to get there. Big airport, obviously, so we gotta figure out how we're gonna get to 9 left. It's actually, we have to go out to the, actually we have to go to the left here, and we're going to take, you can see it here. We have to go to the left. It's on the left side. And then once we get down here, then we go to the right to get to that. You'll see. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and release. Stressing out my system here with this airport. Alright, and I see that sign there says 9 left here to the right. That's what we're going to do. My plane's not usually herky-jerky like this. Unless I get into an airport that has a lot of traffic going on, then it goes like this. Let's go ahead and turn it into the tower now. So we can keep in touch with what's going on there by the planes coming in and going out. So we have everything set up here. probably won't actually hear anything that's going on between the tower and the other planes, but I will be able to see it down at the bottom of the screen. Down there getting ready to take off. Yeah, there's the Delta plane. And he's cleared for takeoff. Runway 9 left. Doesn't look like there's any traffic coming in at this time. So we'll probably be able to get right out here. landed there. We're going to be heading in pretty much a northeasterly direction. So we'll get to Charlotte. We're going to go east until we get to around Athens, Georgia, and then we're going to start in a northeasterly direction. Like I said, it's going to be a short flight, so you kind of have to stay on top of things. When we get to cruising altitude, we can start entering some more information for our descent. We're at 9,700, so we're going to go ahead and turn off our landing lights. Vector, and it has free charge for every airport in the United States, so I can actually pull that up on SkyVector. So that's something you can get for free also, and it's telling me that our approach altitude is going to be 2,400. So once we get to cruising altitude, we'll dial that back to 2,400. right here, just about So we're going to set this for our approach altitude of 2400.
Atlanta Center flight level 250.
So we'll do that right now. Very good. We're all set. And now we also, we're not really that far off from our, and by the way, seatbelts are not going to be off for very long. We can actually set up for our descent, put all the information in for a descent. So we should do that right now. Okay, so we'll go up here and we'll click on this and go to performance and approach. And so we gotta fill all this in, and then the enter destination data light will go off. So we're set for 18 center. Let me verify in SimBrief that 18 center is still good. It says it is. Put our landing information from SimBrief. So our winds are 220 and 11. And you have to go down to your keyboard here again. And 220. And then hit enter. And then at 11. Enter. Outside air temperature is 23. Enter. QNN air pressure is 30.30. After you put this in, that air message will go away more than likely. And there it's gone. I can get rid of this message. Clear all those messages out. And we're going to set this for 400. And there we go. So now we're ready for our descent. Put this back on flight plan. Launch. See what it looks like outside. Few clouds off to the right there. We still have VFR conditions in Charlotte at this time. We will start our top of descent in about 35 miles. That'll be here quick. So as long as you kind of
Going to 135.35.
stay ahead of the game,
Atlanta Center flight level 250.
your landing won't be so stressful. So I kind of have a rule of thumb that I use. Once I get below 20,000 feet, I I adjust my speed down to 250 knots. When I get down to 10,000 feet, I adjust my speed down to 200 knots. And that keeps me ahead of the game. Keeps me right on schedule, actually. Of course, now if you're in a high elevation like Denver or something, you're going to have to make adjustments to those calculations, obviously. So, but normally this is how I do it. You know, there's no special elevation in Charlotte. Charlotte's 748 feet above sea level, so it's pretty good. The airport off to the right down there, looks like. Well, actually, it just looks like an airstrip. Alright, so I've scaled this screen from 160 down to 80, and as you can see up there, that's about how far we are from the airport. 80 miles, nautical miles, and I am going to scale this screen from 40 down to 20. There we go. When we get within 10 miles of the top of descent, then we're going to put the seatbelt sign back on. So, you know, all these flights, especially your bigger planes, you have to stay on schedule. So you have to have a good system in place, like a guideline like I have. I was telling you about. And that'll make your landings a lot less stressful. Alright, so we're down to 10 nautical miles. So let's go in and turn our seatbelt sign back on. You can see this graph right down here. If I had left the graph, if I had, remember we changed from 29,000 to 25,000, if I had not changed that in the flight management system, it would not be telling me to descend at the right point. We changed them both, so it's going to give me a top of descent warning up here in white, right in this area here. And once it does that, if it doesn't start automatically descending, then we will push this button up here, and it'll be coming up anytime here. Top of descent reached, but it hasn't started descending, so we're going to click on this and that will start our descent. We got to keep up with that green green button there. We need that to be up here in the middle here. And as you can see, we're descending fast enough where we're going to get it back up there. And that's going to increase our speed to get it there. And then once it gets there, your speed will probably drop back down a little bit. You know, you really, I can't stress enough to stay on schedule. We're actually not, we're only about 60 miles from the airport, if that. So a lot of things are going to happen really fast here towards the end. So I'm going to walk you through every step of the way. See, we're almost at 300 knots right now. We're descending pretty quickly. Obviously, coming in at that speed, we're going to be rolling right up on that airport really soon. We don't want to come in that fast. That's why once I get to 20,000 right here, like I am just about there, we're going to cut our speed back to 250. So if you click on, pull the button out there, that's 315, we'll cut it back to 250. Now, the plane might tell you that you need to extend your spoilers if it can't meet this condition and this one at the same time. And it just said extend speed brake right here. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Pull that down. That'll help get the speed down a little bit quicker. As you can see, it's dropping pretty good now. Now you don't want to leave it out all the time because you're going to end up burning too much fuel. Once you get back down to the you hear the engine start winding up. Then you can go ahead and release those. We should be okay now until we have to make our next descent at 10,000. Alright, we're below 18,000, so not on standard anymore. See what it looks like outside here. Sometimes I have to flip these back and forth up here because sometimes you just get stuck. we got 18 center. We got everything centered, so we can select another runway. We can collect 18 center, and then request it from the controller.
Charlotte Tower would prefer runway 18 center.
Okay, we've got 18 center.
Fly left traffic runway 18 center.
Very good. So we're at 13,000. We're still at 250 knot speed. So we're really not that far from the airport. Probably about 40 miles out. That's pretty close, especially for the altitude that we're still at 12,000 plus feet. We gotta get down. We will. We're actually only about 18 miles from the runway, but we have to circle around to catch it. So that gives us a little time. Okay, so it's just about time now to drop down to 200. We're going to drop down 200 knots. And we're going to use our speed brakes to help us out. Again. Get us down there. We're going to turn on our landing lights as we approach 10,000 feet. Alright, landing lights are set. The airport is just off to the right there, the right wing there, as you can see it. Right there. And then we just got to get lined up for that. So we're not going to be using the heading managed mode anymore. We're going to control our own heading from now on. So if you arrow down here, that's just letting us know that managed mode is off for the heading. This is set on 20. We can't really see this one. We're going to change this one to 40. See if that'll help us out. And then we're going to change it back to 20. The reason we want it the same as this one is because we're going to be using this one for the IRS or ILS. Setup here. And see, we got an error message about the speed brake still out. We can go ahead and use flaps 1, and we can lift up the speed brakes. Take those off. In fact, we can just go ahead and arm the speed brakes for landing. There we go. We're going to start getting the plane ready for landing. And you can actually set this up, your auto brake. We'll set that on medium for landing, so you don't even have to, you can let the brakes kick in themselves and land the plane. Okay, 200 knots right now. Down a little bit here. We're going to switch this screen. We've got this screen set up over here. We're going to switch this screen over. We're going to LS here and then LS over here. And so it's telling us how far we are from the runway here, right there. 11 and a half miles away from the runway. And it shows that ILS 18 center right here. We're still on heading mode, so we can use our heading to help us get lined up with the runway and intercept the localizer. As you can see right now, we are still too high. This has got to go up above here before we can even consider, otherwise we won't intercept the glide slope. But we're getting there. We need to bring this down to speed. Then go flaps 2. Drop down a little bit more, 60. Flaps 3. Let's put our gear down here. That'll help get us down to the speed we want to be at. There we go.
2,500.
Still want to go down a little bit more. Right, 40. before we do, we need to take a look at those blue dots right here. They need to match up with this. So we're going to bring this down. Once you get that in that area, you can go ahead and turn off your auto throttle. There you go. You have to, so now you're watching your own speed. We are on the localizer. We overshot it a little bit, but we're coming back in line here. This airplane here, you can actually land it using the auto land feature here. We probably won't do that. I think our wind conditions are making things difficult here. Okay, so we're at 13 miles out. You have to watch your speed. The wind is changing things a little bit, so you don't want to go below where you're supposed to be. All right, I think we're just going to turn off the auto land. We're going to turn off auto throttle now because the plane's having a little difficulty. We're just going to go ahead and try to land this ourselves here. There we go. Nice and steady. Wind is kind of playing games with us here. Turn off that caution light there.
And 2,000.
We gotta slow down. We're getting a little bit too much speed going here.
1,000.
Stay on the glide slope here, as much as possible. Give it
500.
Give a little bit of throttle now.
400. 300. 200. 100, 90, 80, 70, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5.
Airport looks to be off to the left there. Okay, we'll go ahead and exit right here. Go ahead and turn off our auto brake here. Oh, I guess it's already off. Anyway, that is that. So hope you enjoyed the flight. Hope you got something good out of it. And you can leave some comments if you like the video. If you want to watch some of my other ones, you can subscribe to my channel. And thank you very much for staying with it. And have a nice day.